Hi, my name is Sarah Mizaki, and I am doing my Emerging Bilingual Language Analysis for Boise State University. I teach at Hemingway STEAM School. It's located in the resort town of Ketchum, Idaho. Our economy is mostly tourist-based, so we have a lot of people coming in and out all the time, lots of second homeowners. I teach in a 5th grade two-way dual immersion program. So 50% of my class time is spent in English and 50% of my class time is spent in Spanish. Students in the program are enrolled in kindergarten, and there's a lot of interest in the program. So we have to have a lottery every year because there's only one class. So it's pretty competitive to get into the program. It is also a STEAM school, which means science, technology, art, and math. Our curriculum is mostly PBL based, and we incorporate a lot of engineering and technology into that. And inside those PBLs, we embed mini lessons. And in my class, language is acquired through content, although I also provide some time for translanguaging and bridging. I have 22 students in my class. 12 of them are native Spanish speaking, so 54.5%. And 10 of them are native English speaking, so 45.5%. Of those native Spanish speaking students, most of them do not currently receive services in our ELD program. 3 of them, 25%, have been exited from the program. 1 of them received a 5.5 on the access test, so we're just monitoring them. 4 of them are in the low 4s, and that's 33.3% of my Spanish-speaking students. 2 of them scored in the high 3s, and 2 of them also scored in the 2.5. Of these, 1 of them is on an IEP, and 1 of them is a newcomer. In the high 3s, 1 of them is also a newcomer. He's been here since the beginning of 3rd grade, I believe. My first example is the written portion, and it shows some phonological mistakes. So here you can see the first one. This is taken directly from a Google document that he turned into me. He wrote, "There's over 1,137 restaurants and amazing foods." And in the second one, he wrote, "It was a dark, dark night when I was having breakfast." So we can see that this student is not recognizing or hearing the phoneme v. In Spanish, there is not a phoneme. So that's a completely understandable mistake and would be hard to listen for, having never heard it before. In the first example, he confuses the bilabial aspirated b, you can see you're using both your lips to make that sound, with the voiced labiodental fricative v, where you put your teeth on top of your lip and it vibrates and you aspirate that. It's not voiced. So both the letters B and V make the B sound in Spanish. So that is a completely understandable mistake. In example 2, he's confusing the V with the F. And again, there's no V sound, and the phonemes V and F are both the same action in your mouth. It's just that one is voiced and one is aspirated. V, it's a labiodental voiced fricative, and F, you do the same thing with your mouth. So it's completely understandable. My second example is both spoken and written. It is a demonstration of the language one interference in possession. So we'll start with the native Spanish speaker's mistake in English. My student told me as she was leaving class, "I'm going to the house of my grandfather." And then another day she said, "Oh, it's the marker of Eden." And So a native English speaker would use the apostrophe S. She is not using the derivational morphological inflected affix of the apostrophe S to show possession. That is because in Spanish, possession is not shown through morphology, but it's syntactic. The direct translation from Spanish would be the house of my brother instead of my brother's house. So they use word order instead of the apostrophe S. In contrast, I have the exact opposite problem with my native English-speaking students when they're working in Spanish. Here you can see mi hermano's soda evaporarse. He's also not conjugating his verb, de su vaso. So he is trying to add that apostrophe S. And usually they do this a lot, actually. And usually he adds the apostrophe. So he here is using the English morphology when he should be using the Spanish syntax. He should be saying la soda de mi hermano. My third example is spoken, and it's also a language one interference, and it addresses double negatives. So I frequently hear Spanish-speaking students using double negatives when they're speaking English. Here are two examples. I don't have no homework, or it doesn't got none. She was referring to a basket of pencils. It being the basket doesn't got none, doesn't got pencils. So in the first example, she has a double negative, and in the second example, she has a double negative. In English, it is not grammatically correct to have double negatives in sentences. We've all been told that our whole lives. But in Spanish, it's quite common to have double negatives, and it's often required. So here you see Spanish syntax interfering with English syntax. And we should learn to accept double negatives from our emerging bilinguals and point out the differences between languages. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.